Hello. I think everything's working. I mean, all the right meters are bouncing and all the right bounces are metering. No, that's not right. Um, I have extra things on my OBS audio mixer and I'm not sure why. So hopefully this is all normal. Yeah, I think I can be heard. Um, Hi everyone. I'm glad that you made it. It's yeah, it's been quite a day. It's beautiful and sunny outside, so there's that. Yes, the weekend assignments, there is a playlist on the channel for the solutions. So when we go over it in the live stream, I'll just clip that out and make a video that I'll post tomorrow, and I'll put it in the playlist. And I believe Samples and Tests actually recommended that I do like an intro video, just a short intro for that playlist. So people are like, what is a weekend assignment solution? And I can say, I'm glad you asked, and explain it. So I will try to do that. Actually, I'll probably post that tomorrow when I post the weekend assignment clip from this live stream. But as far as where they're posted, so if you join, it's not a subscription. If you join the Discord, I do post them there, usually on Friday. I try. And it's been suggested by some folks that maybe earlier in the week would be even more helpful. But I don't know. I guess I don't have a great, you know what I should do? I should post it on the community tab of the YouTube channel. I'm gonna write that down because that's let's see, weekend assignment on community thingy. I'll try to do that so that it's on the YouTube channel and people can see it there. And then, yeah, then we should go over it. Now, there have been some weeks that I've struggled to come up with one, but I'm pushing hard to get more and more of the Linux Plus videos out. And I think a lot of times the weekend assignment is going to point to the Linux Plus videos for that week because I think it's a good way for me to get ideas for what sort of thing would be a good weekend assignment. And the goal is, it's evolved over time, but the goal is to have the weekend assignment go a little bit further than like the video that it might reference. Like we learn about DNS, maybe the weekend assignment is like, how do you do this plus a little more? So there's a little bit of Googling required because that's more realistic, right? I mean, that's what happens when you're doing it for the job is, you know, some stuff, I think the trick to being a good system administrator or software engineer, whatever the terms are these days, I think the real trick is not knowing all the stuff, but knowing what to Google. That is really that's what makes you an effective employer. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I've missed a whole bunch of hellos already. Sebastian, Scott, Mason, Martin, Arthi. If I pronounce your name wrong, please correct me. This is your first live stream. Welcome, welcome. Samples and Tests made it. Scott's here. Bite Moose, hello. If I've missed your name, I apologize, but you're welcome anyway. And we have somebody on Twitch as well. Silverlinks, hello. It's cool somebody's watching on Twitch. That's cool. I kept streaming there. I haven't built out that channel at all. I feel like Twitch is almost a different type of streaming platform, but I don't think that's fair, right? I think wherever people happen to be and wherever they are looking. Oh, two on Twitch. Shane's on Twitch as well. Hi, Shane. Yeah, so I'll actually, well, somebody can beat me to it, but can everybody post links? I'm not sure. Snarko Discord. So that's it's the snar.co is just my domain. It's a short link to the invite code to the Discord, and you can share it anywhere. It's just that's the Snarko is my shortener, and so that's why it's easy to spell. Also, anything else that we do here, and now I'm just making it all a commercial. Oh, that wasn't a link. So there should be links to everything that we do on there, and if not, somebody correct me. But I think all the stuff is on there. A romper room mirror. See, romper room, that is my youth, but I don't remember romper room. Romper room. I mean, that was right along the like Captain Kangaroo and such, right? Romper room was another show. You've intrigued me now. Taking me down a rabbit hole, but that's all right. this is self-hosted CI. I always have to Google what CI and CD means. Content delivery, content installation, maybe? I don't know. For local, I mean, oh yeah. So, it would be really great if I did all those things like I should. I'm really bad about it though. I mean, I have to admit, I host the vast majority of the things I do. Like I have a VPS cloud instance right now that I'm going to be sunsetting because of the Oracle cloud offering, which is just friggin' amazing, which is 100% free. But anyway, but I have, what is the name of it? Uptime Kuma. I have Uptime Kuma installed on a remote VPS because it's kind of hard to monitor if you're online from your own data centers. And so I have a cloud VPS that runs that, and then it checks all of my stuff to see if it's active. But yeah, I do host all of my stuff at my farm other than that. Some stuff here, I guess, at my house, but not much. Yeah, Uptime Kuma is absolutely amazing. Continuous integration. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate that. I had forgotten. Yeah, Captain Kangaroo is from my childhood, and I think Romper Room was that too. I'm going to have to Google Romper Room now because now it's kind of like has free rent in my brain trying to remember what that was. But yeah, continuous integration. Oh yeah, thank you both. Yeah, I don't do it right. I just don't do it right. Continuous delivery. Okay, yeah, I'm really bad at the process. I'm just a one-man show, and I install stuff, and then I'll like make scripts to make sure that it stays running, and then I'll set up backups to make sure that the data is backed up. And I'm not just saying that, I actually really do that. And then if I think about it, I'll put something in place to make sure that it stays up, like an Uptime Kuma thing, which I'm not as good at because generally the things that I use, or the things I host, I use. And so I notice if they go offline, but I'm not really good about the whole pipeline process of it. That's just bad. I also don't develop much at all. Anything that I develop is for my day job, and I do keep that stuff in GitHub, but it's more like I back up my work to GitHub because I'm also a one-man team when it comes to development there. My only coworker is the on-site hardware guy. So all of the software stuff is mine, but I don't do I don't do the pipeline right. I'm not a software guy. I'm not a good software guy. I write software. I don't write good software. I don't write it right. I don't write it right. I don't write it correctly. Anyway, Romper Room, 1953. Oh, okay. So yeah, that is before my time, but it pinged something in my brain that made me think of it. So, Captain Kangaroo was 1955. What is up with my brain remembering things before my time? That's 20 years before I was born. So I don't know. Anyway, hold on. I'm going to drink some water. Okay. Have I missed any questions? No, somebody asked, and it's difficult for me. Oh, hold on. Somebody just wait. Oh, I'm live streaming. Okay. So Silver Links, who is on Twitch right now. I know because I remember saying hello on Twitch. So apparently at some point I have an integration with something that tweets when this live stream starts. I don't know what program it is that sends out the tweet, but it doesn't give any information. It just says, I'm live streaming, which is not helpful. So Silver Links, thank you for investigating and finding. Oh, yes. Silver Links 35. Thank you for investigating and finding out where I was streaming, because I thought I got rid of that. I actually disconnected the interaction between Restream.io and Twitter. I don't know where that tweet comes from, but I'm glad you found it. And you're not the first person to say, where? Oh, maybe Twitch does it. But you'd think it would provide a link, right? I mean, if Twitch says I'm live streaming, why wouldn't they provide a link? That seems silly. Anyway. Sebastian, let's see. After the accident, did you get any new or good skill? So the one guy came in. No, I didn't. So if you don't know, if you're new around these parts, in March of 99, I had a car accident where my head went through the window of the car, and I had and have amnesia. I actually don't remember anything before March of 99. I was like 23, 24 years old, something like that. And I had to relearn my skills. Now, something like I didn't have memories, but it was weird. So this is just a slight sidetrack here, but uh, I didn't remember any people. I didn't remember anything personal about my life. Like I didn't remember like who I voted for in an election, but I knew who was president kind of thing. And I didn't remember that I knew how to type, but muscle memory was still there because when when I finally got home from the hospital and I saw the computer, I'm like, oh, can you make this go on? So I think I can type. And I sat down and I could type like the wind. It was just so bizarre. Brain injuries are so weird. But no, I didn't have any good skills. And because of the car insurance company denying any medical claims, we ended up kind of destitute. But I mean, the silver lining there is because of that, I ended up going all in on Linux. Before my accident, I was doing tech support on a Unix system for dial-in internet, but Linux, I couldn't afford anything other than Linux, and so that's how I got my start on Linux because it was free, and so thus started my career in Linux. The inability to do anything else. So yeah, that's but no, I don't have any new skills. And the nice thing is usually when people have a really bad head injury like that, their personality changes kind of, oftentimes drastically. But everybody that knows me, like my wife, and I mean, everybody says, no, I mean, there was some recovery time, but I have always been this oddball guy who you now see in front of you. So I was very happy that didn't change. My wife asked if the tweet might be. That one, no. And I know it's not because I had to disconnect if this then that because they like limited how many interactions you could have. And then it started, I had a integration, whatever they call it, between Instagram and Twitter. And one day it just started going batcrap crazy and retweeting the same Instagram post like every 5 minutes. And there are like 30 of them in a row on my Twitter account. So I just disconnected it and I just stopped. So it's not that. I'll have to investigate Twitch. It might be Twitch that just says I'm live streaming. Superhero really won't tell us his powers. That's for a certain. Yeah, it's I have powers of sarcasm that run deep. No, I don't have any great superpowers. My wife wouldn't let us name any of our kids super. It's really depressing. But when I introduce or like if I go to the doctor or someplace where I have to like say, I say, what's your name? Say Sean Powers, SHAWN, and powers like superpowers, because that's fun to say. So, oh, the brain is weird. Yeah. The main thing was she would mix up proper nouns. Oh yeah. Brains are they're just fascinating. Do I have any ethical hacking or pen testing experience? So, okay, Darius, yes, it's an odd sort of story. Ethical hacking, not really. I haven't done any ethical hacking courses. The last course that I was creating for CBT Nuggets, I used to be a trainer for CBT Nuggets. In fact, they still have some of my courseware that is live on their catalog. The last course that I was actively creating was Pentest Plus for CompTIA, like the actual Pentest Plus certification. I greatly disliked teaching people to be red team kind of thing. Not the software aspect, but because I think the most effective methods for compromising a system are the people, and kind of talking about being, like lying, deceiving and stuff. People really made me uncomfortable. That's just not who I am. And so I had a really difficult time with the Pentest Plus test. I didn't finish it. Somebody else finished it. Bob actually is the trainer who finished it. He's a great guy. And it's a me thing. It's not a problem with the concept. I just had a difficult time, even though I know that I was making trainings so that we could prevent those sorts of things from happening. It just felt so icky. I had a hard time with it. Sponsors there. Awesome. Yeah. I got no superpowers with my car accident. Nothing. Not even stitches. I just had some scratches on my face. So I don't even have like any cool things to point at. It's sad. If I thought about putting my YouTube Linux course online, learning provider site. You know what? No, not because it hasn't occurred to me, but I really, really, really want all of the education that I create to be freely available to people, whether they can afford to pay for it or not. And I guess that there's something to be said for also putting like a course somewhere where they wouldn't have YouTube ads embedded and that sort of a thing for on sale sort of thing. But I don't. I would almost rather somebody pay for YouTube Premium and not get any ads and then just watch the playlist. But that's something that I have struggled with because I want people to be able to have access to my content. And yeah, it's slow going, right? I mean, I started doing YouTube in earnest the beginning of 2022, and after a full year, um, it's not that I need to be big and awesome and famous, but I was hoping to get the course into more people's hands. So I don't know. We'll see how that. We'll see if I come up with something more useful in the future. But I haven't. I haven't considered actually packaging it up. No, and I'm not going to remove it from YouTube. So, do I know Mark Tellas? I do not. No, I don't know who that is. If he was making courses or tutorials and stuff, hold on, and disappeared. I mean, hopefully he's all right. But I know people personally who they will. In fact, I know somebody whose job it was to find people like that who get hired to do a job and they have to stop producing content to give away as a part of their new work contract. So it's hopefully that's what happened there. If this person just stopped making tutorials, hopefully they got employment that prevents them from doing so. I don't know. That's I'm hoping that that's the case, I guess, or maybe life got in the way. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know Mark Tellas at all. No. From Argentina, it is crazy. It's so bizarre for me, and I've had this like I don't know that the people in my meat space life are as just fascinated by it, but there are more people that attend the live streams from other countries than I'm in the U.S. I mean, I clearly have an American accent and I'm as white bread as they come, but there are far more people from other countries who watch the live stream. And I'm just fascinated by that in an awesome way. I just think it's so cool. Yeah, it is. It's crazy in the best possible way, Lewis. So yes, I'm glad people find it useful. That's really the thing that I hoped would be the case. I mean, I made a lot of training for a lot of years and it was sold commercially. And I mean, it, paid for my mortgage and, I have no regrets about that. But it was, YouTube just allows for so many more people who might really have a need for quality training. So yeah, I'm not saying I'm the best trainer ever, but I don't think I put out lies. So, it may be lacking in some ways, but, I wanted there to be something out there that was useful and reliable. So anyway, that's why I do what I do, I guess. With Linux Plus course, are you planning on covering all the sections? Yes, I'm gonna do just like I did with the Linux Essentials course. The Linux Essentials course is it's complete from stem to stern. I covered all the objectives and made sure it was a much smaller course, but I started with that one for a number of reasons. One, it's a great entry point into Linux. When I was a commercial trainer, my Linux Essentials material was by far the most viewed, the most popular, because the most people needed those baby steps into Linux. And so that's why I wanted to get that one done first. Linux Plus is taking longer than I'd hoped. So I do hope that I can speed up the process to get it finished, because yes, I'm definitely going to do the whole thing. There's not a question there. It's just, I hope that I can do it before I get old and gray. Well, I'm already graying, but we won't talk about that. Let's see. Oh shoot, where do we go? Linux is the biggest rabbit hole. Yeah, it's such an entry point to awesomeness. I mean, not just open source, but open source clearly. And, the development world, because so much development is done in an environment that Linux thrives. So many development platforms are freely available on Linux. It runs the internet. It's a rabbit hole that it will just take you lots of different places. And again, it's not just Linux. It's just that Linux touches everything, basically everything that interests me. I mean, I know that Linux has been the focus of my career for the past, multiple decades, but also the tangents that it's taken me on are all connected. I love it in general. I mean, Linux Journal, obviously it was a magazine, but it was more than that. It was about the open source community and how things worked and community in general. So yeah. Yep. Chris, watching from Germany. Welcome. Guten Tag. And I'm not sure, I haven't seen him, but if Bjorn is here, he's also a frequent watcher from Germany. I don't know these words. Oh man, I was so proud of myself for Guten Tag. And although I did try to start learning Spanish, I assume that's Spanish, but I tried learning Spanish because I did a talk for the Linux Dominicana group in the Dominican Republic. And I was hoping before the time I could learn enough Spanish to say something. And I did not do a good job of that. They were wonderful and they knew I was going to speak English, but I was hoping to be a little more fluent in Spanish than I was. My middle daughter is now engaged to a man who he's from Florida, but his mom is from Mexico. His dad is from Colombia, I think. But he's bilingual. And so it's neat that I'm going to have a son-in-law who speaks fluent Spanish. So maybe someday it'll happen because if they have kids, their kids will be bilingual as well. And so I got to be able to speak to my grandkids or know when my grandkids are talking behind my back. Me too. Argentina. Wait, you're in Argentina as well? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'll have to spiral maybe assignment talk. Okay. Yeah. So fair. Thank you, Shane, for getting us back on track. How am I almost caught up? I think I'm almost caught up. Let's see here. UK Bite Moose, welcome. Oh, from Sweden, Martin. It's amazing. It just amazes me how many different places people are from. So thank you all for attending. I promise this will be the last couple I look at. Which of the Linux certs I have? Research. Go for a certificate of testing in education. Yeah, I get that. I think that if you don't have a reason to get the actual certification, just prepping for the exam is often useful to keep your skills up. And then that's kind of my take on it. Like the Linux Essentials exam, I don't necessarily recommend people ever actually take the exam. Just be confident enough with the material to move on. But yeah, sometimes the exam or the certificates can actually help with getting a job or getting an advancement. In that case, it's worth taking the exams. But anyway, I'm not actually German. I live in Germany. Oh, and English and German. See, I only speak English, and even that kind of poorly. People fascinate me. You guys are awesome. So let's do the weekend assignment. Let me switch over. All right, we're down here. Clear the screen. And wow, what a pretty background. So these backgrounds that you probably see every week, this is just, I wrote a script. I think I made a video on it. Oh no, I think it's just an article on Linux Journal. Oh, the camera's the wrong one now. I think it's just an article I wrote, but every day for the past, 6 years or so, I've been downloading the Bing, like Bing.com, the search engine from Microsoft. They have a really cool background image. And so every day I have a script that downloads that image and stores it locally, and then I rotate them in the background. So I usually get questions about my backgrounds. And so now I've answered the question before anybody asked. Let's get a browser window open. Okay. Never know which screen it's going to pop up on. And we'll go to snar.co/WA19 for weekend assignment 19. And here it is. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. Boom, 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 boom. I think it was a pretty simple assignment this week if you watched the video that I uploaded yesterday. Let me move this down here. I will get back to those chat questions. I just want to put it there in case somebody's like, hey, your screen's blank or something. Find a domain's MX record using at least 3 different methods. Now, yesterday's video, I talked about probably 3 different methods in the video itself, just using different tools on the Linux command line. But I'm also going to encourage you to go online and look for stuff too. So let's get a browser, or let's get a terminal window. I'm just going to use my local computer. I'm not going to spin up a VM. This is just the computer that I'm streaming from. Yeah, I should probably zoom in a bit. All right, is that good? Make sure I can. Yeah, okay. Not covering up anything in particular. So let's do 3 command line tools, and then I will add another way using the internets. I guess we're using the internet for all these ways. Just this is a command line way of doing it. First of all is dig. Dig is a command that I use for most of my DNS research, if you will, when I'm on the command line. And like I said in the video yesterday, NSLookup was kind of deprecated and then undeprecated. I don't know the story there, but it's now valid and usable. So NSLookup is fine, but dig is something that I've been using a long time, and something I didn't mention in the video yesterday. If you want to test a specific DNS server with dig, it's really easy. And I'm sure you can do it with other tools too. But let's say, so if I say dig google.com, this is just a little bit of bonus. This is like weekend assignment 19.1 or something. If you just do dig there, it'll query like this is my local DNS server. This is like in my resolve.conf. So if we do look at my resolve.conf, it'll say my first name server is this. And I actually have multiple, so if it fails, it goes out to the internet. But my main name server is 192.168.1.1. And when we do a query, that's the server that it queries. But you can have dig use a different domain server if you want to test, like if something is propagated to different servers. So let's do dig and then the @ symbol. I'll get my cursor out of the way, hide that. At 8.8.8.8, for example, that's Google's DNS server, their public DNS server. So if you dig at 8.8.8.8 for something like nerdlings.net, which is my domain, it'll return the information, which is this, that's the IP address that's publicly available. But it used this server, even though that wasn't the server that my computer would have normally used, because normally my computer uses 192.168.1.1. So if you want to test different servers, that's a really great way to go about doing it with dig without changing any of your system configs. Just dig at, and then what DNS server you want to query, and then what domain you want to query, and it'll do the same thing. It just uses a different server. So anyway, that was just a kind of a bonus tip. But to find the MX records, you can do that with dig. I don't think I did that with dig in the video yesterday. So let's clear the screen, and I'm going to say dig. I'll just use my local DNS. I won't say add any DNS server, but dig, we'll do nerdlings.net again. Nerdlings.net, again, my domain. And we'll just do capital M, capital X. So dig that MX, and it should give us the MX records. And I'm going to stretch this a bit just so it doesn't wrap. And this gave us that information. The answer section here, nerdlings.net, the MX record is this, and there's a second MX record of this. And like I said in the video, this is correct, even though nerdlings.net is my domain. These are my MX servers because I use something called MX Guard Dog as my spam filter. And all of the email that is directed to anything at nerdlings.net is first delivered to the MX Guard Dog servers, and that's these two. And then once it does its filtering stuff, it passes it on to my local email server, which I actually host at my farm. Like I'm actually running Postfix to get and send mail. But if you send me something, it gets filtered at, oh, doggone it. Sorry, I wasn't moving enough. My motion detector thought I left. And it delivers to my local mail server after it's been done there. Another significance here, and this has become more of a lesson than I intended. It's hard not to teach stuff, but when you look at an MX record, most domains have more than one, and they have this priority level. The lower the number, the higher the priority. And so MX record with the number 10 priority is this one. But if for some reason this is offline or inaccessible, like say you try to email me something and this particular server is either behind a firewall that's offline or there's a net split or something, and it doesn't respond, then an email server will query again and it'll look for the next available MX server. In this case, it would be this one because 20 is higher than 10. So if this one fails, it will then try the same thing on this one. And then most of them have like a timeout and retry feature. So if they all fail, then, it'll hold it and then try again in a half hour or something. But this is just a way for a little bit of redundancy. Usually these will be in different physical locations so that if there's a net split or something, mail can still be delivered. So anyway, that's a little more about MX than you actually wanted to know, but nonetheless, there it is. So that's how you can find an MX record using dig. You just dig the domain and then space MX. I'm not sure if it has to be capital. I've always used capital. Let's see if it has to be capital. Doesn't even have to be capital. Just MX after the domain you're looking up, and it will find that MX information. We can also use the host command, which I believe I did use in yesterday's video. And this one, all you have to do is say host. We'll do the same thing, nerdlinks.net, boom, and it will give you all the information that you might need. That's the IP address of nerdlinks.net, like the root domain resolves to that IP address, and then it tells us the MX records. It doesn't actually call them MX records, which is interesting, but it says mail is handled by, and it doesn't explain the 10 here, but we just went over that, by this and by this server. And this should work for others as well. Let's do host gmail.com. And so, yeah, there's a whole bunch that Gmail has, which makes sense, right? I mean, you'd think they would have some redundancy built in to the Gmail system. And so all of these are MX servers, and you'll see they have numbers. So like this is probably going to be the highest priority. I don't see anything bigger or lower than 5. So that's the first one it'll try, and then 10, 20, 30, 40. It looks like and then there's a IP version 4 and IP version 6 address for gmail.com. Because it didn't just give us the MX records, but it gave us all those. And then, so that's 2 ways. One more way, we'll use NS lookup again, which was deprecated, but is not deprecated anymore. So NS lookup, this is one of I usually get wrong the first time, the format to get an MX record, but it's like dash type equals MX. And the reason I always mess it up is because generally in Linux, there's, if it's a single dash, it's a letter. It's like dash T. And then if it's a word, it's like dash dash type. But this doesn't follow that format. If you do dash dash, it'll give you an error. So it's just a strange way that they have done this. But anyway, NS lookup, single dash type equals MX, and then nerdlinks.net. And then we get this information, what server we got the response from. Again, my local DNS server. It's actually on my pfSense router right there. Nerdlinks.net, mail exchanger, 10, 20, so all the same information. So all the same information that we got from all of the others, 3 different ways to get that. And then let's just go, I don't know a specific one to use, but if you just Google for like find MX records or DNS queries, MX lookup tool. I mean, pretty much all of these are going to work just fine. So I'll go to the second one here, dnschecker.org. They're probably all going to be ad laden, but if you just put in the domain, so we'll do the same thing over just so we know we're getting the same information. Nerdlinks.net, check the MX record. Oh, it allows like which server do you want to use? Let's say Cloudflare, just because that's actually where the nerdlings.net DNS stuff is hosted. So it should definitely know the answer. Check the MX record, and it gave us, oh, cool. It gave us not just the MX record, which it did give us, but also information about the that server itself. What I don't see though, it doesn't look like it gave us the 10 and 20, unless I'm missing that somewhere. That's funny. It gave us more information than we got anywhere else, but it didn't tell us which was like 10 and 20, like the weight of each of those. But anyway, there's lots of information you can find from these web tools, but usually what they do is under the hood, they'll just be running some command line tool to get that same information and then just, put it on the screen. So anyway, hopefully that covers the weekend assignment. And I'll put this on the playlist, and you might be watching it from the playlist right now. That got weird. Oh, hold on. I have the wrong face cam on. Let me shrink myself. All right, there we go. Oh, and I am behind on comments. I tried so hard not to look at the comments so I wouldn't get distracted, because I tend to go on bunny trails. But I like talking. So, and look at that. We have so much time left. We could have just chatted the day away. All right, wherever. Let's see. I made a video about. Oh, I did. Okay. I didn't know if I had or not, so thank you. That's cool. Made a video about the Bing backgrounds. I wonder what I called it. I think it was a weekend assignment, maybe. Something about writing PHP, maybe? I'll have to look. Now I don't even remember. But anyway, what are my thoughts about Midjourney and Chat GPT? Is Midjourney, I don't remember what Midjourney is, but the AI stuff in general. My thoughts are is that, it's definitely going to be part of our reality. So there's I think there's no point in pushing against it. I think rather we need to concentrate on how we can healthily integrate it into our processes. But yeah, I don't know. I've been on a couple podcasts where we talked about it, but it's fun to play with. I'm amazed at how well Chat GPT can lie through its teeth. It will give you well-formed answers. Some of the answers are shockingly accurate. Some of them are deviously wrong, just wrong information presented with the confidence of a pathological liar. And so that's interesting for me. But in general, I just think it's just a huge, weird conversation. For example, I actually paid a little bit for a subscription to some site so that I could generate some AI music, only because finding royalty-free music is challenging for me. I don't even know where to go and find good stuff. And I just needed like a jingle for the start of the podcast that I released yesterday. And I thought, well, AI can do it as long as I have a license for whatever it creates. Then I don't have to worry about like getting a copyright strike or anything. So I did that just yesterday. So I see some stuff as awesome, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a great answer. I would use Dig, NS Lookup, and for web, MX Toolbox. All right, cool. I don't remember what we used. I don't think I used MX Toolbox, but that was one of the ones on there. And yeah, I generally use Dig for everything, just like I said, because that's what I do. I've tried Midjourney, but the Stable Diffusion. Okay, yeah, and Shane and I have had this conversation before too. Stable Diffusion, I did get up and running. Actually, it was my Windows box that did have an NVIDIA card. It was, well, the same machine, but before I switched over to Linux, and I assume it runs on Linux, but I haven't tried. I am not good at writing prompts. That's the weird thing for me. The artistic, like the drawing, art making stuff can be amazingly powerful, but it seems to be only as useful as the person is good at writing prompts. And I am not good at writing prompts. So anyway, I assume this was about when we were on the thing. Yeah. NS Lookup and Dig are very similar tools. They probably each have a little bit of uniqueness, but in general, either tool is going to do all the stuff you need it to do, just with slightly different flags. Yeah, let's see. Got the same thing. Okay, Dig is in DNS utils package for Debian. Oh, okay. I thought it was if it wasn't installed by default, I apologize for misleading anybody. And I don't remember if NSLookup is installed by default or not. If it's not, I generally just do a quick search and install whatever package they want. Same thing with NetTools. Like the ifconfig program is not installed, I don't think, on any distributions anymore, but that was part of what we had to cover in Linux Plus. And so I had to install that to show ifconfig, and netstat is in that same package and stuff like that. If you want security, NS Quad 9 is a good one. Oh, okay. So that is interesting too. I haven't set it up. DNSSEC, I have not set up. I don't even know the process, to be quite honest. Kyle Rankin is probably, has a pain in his head, and he doesn't even know why now. Kyle Rankin he was a coworker at Linux Journal. He's one of the smartest people I know, but he was doing DNSSEC before it was cool. And he moved to his registrar that he's at now because they supported DNSSEC and none of the other ones did. Namecheap, the one that I use, they do have DNSSEC support, because I guess it's something you have to implement at the registrar level, not just your DNS server level, but that's another sidetrack. How useful is Linux Plus Cert for a real world job? So this is a complicated topic that there's not a great answer for. I think a Linux Plus certification, the certification itself, may be a way to get to the interview process, or to get past like some initial, even computerized filtering, right? I mean, if it's a legitimate certification, that will probably get you further in the process to where you might be able to speak to a human or have a human reach out to you. So having the actual certs are very good for that. Also, sometimes, and I don't know if this is the case as much anymore, but like a decade ago, if you were in a job situation and you would get a certification, it might mean a promotion or a pay raise at your company. In that case, whether or not the company pays for it or not, it's definitely worth getting, because it's information that's going to be beneficial to you anyway. And the pay raise is likely going to be more than the cost of the exam. So if that's the case, where it gets you a bump, definitely do that. As far as doing the job, though, having the knowledge is what's going to get you through the interview process. The cert isn't going to get you through the interview. The cert's going to get you the interview, possibly. Or that's where it's useful. It's useful to get your foot in the door, to get your name up on a list. Whereas the information that you learned from it, that is going to be what benefits you during the interview process. And the ability to confidently say, I have no idea, but I know how to figure that out. If somebody approaches me in an interview with that kind of an attitude, I'm like, that's what I want. I want somebody who can say, oh, I honestly don't know, but I absolutely know how to figure that out or find it. And then, possibly say what I would do is I would, first of all, Google this and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, just talk about what you would really do, because that wasn't the question though. So let me scroll back. Where'd I go? Yeah, because they don't cover real world applications. Yeah, that's the thing. But they can prepare you to troubleshoot real world situations, right? If you know what the tools are capable of, then you have all these arrows in your quiver. And so during the interview process, you'd be like, you know what? I would probably do that with this. It'd take a little bit of, finagling the command line stuff. I couldn't tell you the flags right off the top of my head, but I know, how I would go about figuring out that problem. Just be as honest as you can about that, and that's going to be good. Big backgrounds are part of your Windows to Linux migration. Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was part of a live stream though, because I think one of the weekend assignments had to do with making PHP work. And I wrote that in PHP, and I probably had links to the Linux Journal articles about it. It would be back in one of the earlier assignments, so I don't know. Randomize your Linux desktop images with nitrogen. Oh yeah. Okay. That's might be a video, and I probably did mention it at least there. Because yeah, that's what I use now. I use nitrogen for randomizing my backgrounds, but that doesn't get the backgrounds themselves. That's where I get them from Bing, which I don't know copyright wise if I'm allowed to download them and keep them. I honestly don't know. So if you're Microsoft, please know that I'm not worth your time suing for putting your images on my computer backdrop. And I'm not distributing them, so, I don't know. ChatGPT. Yeah, ChatGPT, it's fascinating, but it is weird. A short using ChatGPT and other AI tools for fun today. So I bet we're going to see a lot more of that, because it can make content in a way that takes a lot less brain juice. Just because making content, even if it's stuff still takes time. Like, can you write an article on this or that? Yeah, I mean, I can. I was a writer for years, but it takes a mental tax, right? And whereas if it can just spew it out, something that's usable, I don't know about how rights work there, though. That is interesting for me, and I don't know the answer to that. Does this Linux Plus will cover more in detail about systemd services and how to write them? I don't know. If you go to maybe somebody can look. HTTPS snarko plus objectives. So that short link should get you to the Linux Plus objectives on the CompTIA site. And you can see we're on section 1.5. And I don't know if we're going to cover more systemd stuff or not. I have a love-hate relationship with systemd. I think it's awesome and powerful. And some things about it just drive me bonkers, like the DNS resolution stuff with resolve.conf. I hate it so much, but that's just me being pedantic. Let's see. On my Raspberry Pi, using the... Oh, okay. Didn't have Diggins. Interesting. Maybe it's supposed to serve as it gets you the gatekeeper. Yeah, the gatekeeper thing is a big deal. Yeah. Let's see. Do projects and doc. And this is something too. And Dwayne, I mean, I have to admit, I haven't interviewed people in a number of years, and I haven't gone on an actual interview in quite a number of years. So, my knowledge from both sides of the table is getting dated. But now I know a lot of people really do look for things that you're involved with, like your GitHub account is as important as your LinkedIn profile. Like, all things I didn't use last time I was getting a job, but yeah, being involved and knowing stuff is good. The thing about GitHub for me, I am not a good enough, like I would never go for a development job because I'm not a developer. And so that's where I don't share a lot of the stuff I do on GitHub, because it would make me less employable, I think. But nonetheless, especially if you're going into a job that requires some sort of development, it's great to have some of your work, even if it's just a fork of another project that you're working on or modifying or whatever. Yeah, just have it on your GitHub repo. Yeah, that's awesome. And the nice thing about Linux, like I started the live stream with, it integrates so well with every aspect of technology. I mean, yes, open source, but everything: networking, software-defined networking, cloud computing, anything can work with Linux because Linux runs the cloud. So yeah, Lantastic. Oh man, that Lantastic, that just made a gear ping in my brain, but I can't even remember anything about Lantastic. Interesting. I mean, I did run, BNC network cables and stuff, but Lantastic, man, I can't even remember what that is. But anyway, okay. Oh, the Trash 80. Yeah. Which was a shockingly good computer for its time. I mean, it's got the moniker, the Trash 80, but the TRS 80 was amazing for its time. I was a TI 99 4A person, which was less awesome, but it's what my grandfather bought for me. I never had a Commodore 64. My aunt. So my friend and I, whose name I can't say because he's really big on privacy, but my friend and I used to visit my aunt when we were in high school. Yeah, we were in high school. And we would stay some weekends there. And she didn't have a Commodore 64, but she had a VIC-20. And not only did she have a VIC-20, but she had like a disk drive, like diskette drive, and tons of disks with all sorts of software on it. We did so much weird stuff with that system that I wish I could remember because it was before my car accident. I just know that it's true that we played with it there, but I never had a Commodore or a VIC-20. The only computer I had was the TI-99 4A with a tape drive to back up and restore, you know, basic software, the programming language, basic software that we would, you know, type out. Okay, my mom would type stuff out for me because my mom could touch type and I couldn't at the time. So my mom would like type out these long programs that were in like magazines. And I mean, it probably made like a cursor go beep, 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 beep or something. And then I would save it to a cassette tape with the tape drive. And that was all that I had until I went to college. Actually, I didn't even have a computer through high school. But when I went to college in 93, a friend of mine from school upgraded to a computer with a hard drive, and I bought his Tandy RL something. You had to boot it from a floppy disk. It had a 3.5-inch drive, but it wasn't high density, so it was only the 720K. And that is the computer that I had at college. So I'm either really old or had really bad hardware or both. Oh, let's see. I missed stuff. I'm sorry. Yeah, the British Naval Connector cables. And I had to learn about those when I got my CCNA. I had to learn all about BNC cabling, even though it was already outmoded by years when I got my CCNA. Actually, I took an accelerated CCNA course so that I could teach CCNA in high school in like 2001, 2002, something like that. And so I took this like crash course CCNA with the additional bits for being able to teach it or whatever. But yeah, BNC cabling. I actually had to buy some so that I could demonstrate to kids like what it was. And then it had no use whatsoever because nobody used it. But anyway, do you think you like a video dealing with the setting up and administering a DNS server? I don't know. So I was going to run my own like internet connected DNS server for my domains at my farm. Like I was going to do that. I decided against it because one, DNS is just kind of a pain in the butt. But the other thing was I didn't have two solid locations to run like, you know, primary and secondary. And bind is just kind of a pain in the butt and I don't love it. And then I thought I could do Power DNS, but then Power DNS uses, I think that's the one that uses a MySQL backend. And I'm like, that seems like a lot of moving parts that could go wrong and have DNS fail. And if DNS fails catastrophically, it's just so unpleasant to do stuff when you don't have any DNS resolution. So in the end, I just decided to, I use Cloudflare for my DNS server. I use Namecheap for my registrar. And I don't have regrets. You know, I don't use any of its proxy stuff. You know, I just use it for straight up DNS and it works good and it's always responsive. And I know that they have redundancy everywhere. So yeah, that's what I do. I haven't. So I don't know. I mean, locally, I have used a DNS mask a lot. But even now, I'm actually, for the first time in a long time, I'm running DHCP and DNS on my router again, only because now my routers are running pfSense on hardware boxes from Netgate, which are really powerful and reliable. And it's nice to have just a single point where if the internet goes down, it's in that box. And so, I don't know. I've kind of backtracked from my host everything myself sort of mindset. Byte Magazine. Don't remember. Know of Byte Magazine. Let's see. Jerry Parnell. Why does that name sound familiar to me? Going for CCNA again. So the CCNA world got weird on me. Like I said, I used to teach CCNA Academy at the high school that I was a tech director. In fact, one of my tech aides was also one of my students, Ryder. I don't know if you're watching, but he ended up growing up and getting a real job, and he's like a sysadmin high in some company. But Yeah, he was one of my students that learned CCNA from me, and he managed to get a real job. So I wasn't that horrible, or he or he was able to recover from the bad teaching. But it got weird. Like, I don't even know how the CCNA stuff works. Like what the low, like levels, and like, there's like CCNA and CCIE and CCNP, or some of them are no longer a thing. And I don't even know anymore. I just don't know. But yeah, CCNA was great. I liked because it was a well-rounded introduction to networking at the time. I don't know if, again, I don't know what stuff is now, but, understanding the OSI model, and, when you got your CCNA, at least when I did, you had to actually crimp some cables to understand how they were working, 568A and 568B and all that stuff. It was a good combination of theory, but also some practical stuff. And yeah, it was heavily Cisco hardware specific, but not entirely. A lot of it was just networking concepts with a leaning towards Cisco hardware. Like the routing stuff, it was all Cisco hardware, but the networking stuff in general was just a lot of generic networking knowledge, which I appreciated and I think was very useful. Would love a video about how to use dmessage, journal lead to troubleshoot, reboot, startup, hibernate issues. Yes. All right. And maybe it would just be maybe I could just make like a troubleshooting playlist, because it feels like there are some things you do regularly when you're trying to troubleshoot any issue in general. Things like, looking at journal D or the system CTL status or log files. But that's one of the things about system D that I don't love, is that now logs are binary. So you have to look at them with journal D instead of, or journal CTL instead of just looking at a text log file. That's a grumble of mine. But yeah, there's that, maybe just some not generic, but some troubleshooting videos would be interesting. I'll try to think more on how that would be a practical thing. Science fiction author. That's who. Okay. Gotcha. They did Lucifer's Hammer together, right? Jerry Purnell and Larry Niven. I think they wrote Lucifer's Hammer. Lucifer's Hammer? Was it Lucifer's Hammer? Am I thinking of the right thing? Maybe not. But yeah, okay. Thank you, because that would have driven me nuts. Hate the OSI model. Yeah, but I mean, it's good to know, right? It's good to know. Anywhere in like the 3, 4, 5 range, I'm like, I don't know. I'd have to look it up to explain for sure. But understanding that it goes from the physical layer to the application layer, I think that's good stuff to know. Like, oh, layer 2, that's, the MAC address. I think that's good. Again, I think it gets a little more in the weeds as far as practicality goes, but nonetheless. CCNA intro level networking, Net Plus. Okay, that's good. See, I didn't even know where stuff lived anymore, because there was CCNA and then CCNP, I think, at a time. I think CCNP was like the next level after CCNA. But again, it's been so long. I mean, it was literally the beginning of the 2000s when I was in that world, and I haven't done any Cisco stuff since, because when I got hired at CBT Nuggets, they already had Cisco people there. I was not there to do any Cisco training, because most of the people there, like Jeremy Chara, and they were already Cisco people. So I never had to follow up on any Cisco stuff. CCIE high-end Cisco cert. Okay. Yeah, and I know there's just, it got complicated really quick. So anyway, oh my goodness, we're already like almost out of time. And thank you, Shane. Shane sent me a warning here, which I didn't see until just now. So yeah, we're about out of time. This has been a fun conversation, though. It's made me think about like CCNA and stuff. So that's awesome. I appreciate that. I will tomorrow be sure to get like the little clip of the weekend assignment samples and tests. I will try to do an intro video to post as well at the top of that playlist. And my goal, and I know I said this last week, and it was my goal, I just wasn't able to accomplish it. My day job just got really, really complicated throughout the week, but I want to get 2 Linux Plus videos done every week. So we'll see if that happens. So one of the projects that I have on the on the docket is to change my Office motion detection system in Home Assistant to a presence detector using the 24 gigahertz technology that you can now integrate into a presence detector, which doesn't rely on motion. So we'll see how that goes. But since my lights went off twice during this live stream, maybe it's something I should focus on sooner than later. But anyway, yeah, just keep an eye on that. And I did start a new podcast. So if I put a link to it in the community page. It is not tech specific. We'll probably talk about tech because we're tech geeks, but it's just nerdy friends talking about nerdy things. We'll see how it goes. The first episode was literally us figuring out what we're going to do. So you don't have to subscribe. There's no bonus points for subscribing to the podcast. But if you like to hear us talk, if you like to hear my dulcet tones, well, by all means, that's another way to do that. And it's time now. So thanks everybody for tuning in. One of these days, I'm going to either do a longer live stream or a different timed live stream or a different day, because I really enjoy it. And every time 4 o'clock my time rolls around, I'm a little bummed that it's over. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, if it's Sunday where you are, and I'll see you on the internets. Thanks again. This is that awkward time where I try to remember how to stop the stream. And it changed because of Restream.